Let's take a look at some of the ways you can control the calculations on the values in a pivot table. We've got a couple of modules that talk about how to create pivot tables and how to get a lot out of them. This one's going to talk a little bit about the calculations that you can control in a pivot table. Right here I have a whole bunch of data on sales. I think there's about 1,000 rows of it. It's been turned into a pivot table over here that shows region on the left and items across the top and then total sales. I'd like to change what it's showing us in terms of the values. So down here in the field list pane, under values, I'm going to click this drop down arrow for sum of total sales and click value field settings. And instead of showing the values, I'm going to show the values as a percentage. And I'm going to try percent of the row total. So that's giving me percentages across the rows. So these are going to add up to the 100% of the sales for the Eurozone. Another way to do that, again, go to value field settings, show values as. I'm going to select percent of parent row total. This is a little different. Instead now, actually, the columns are what are going to add up to 100%. So this is the Eurozone's percentage of the COGS sales rather than the percentage that the COGS are of the Eurozone sales. Lots and lots of ways to mess with that, and you can play around with it to see what gives you what you want to convey. You can also do various kinds of calculations on the values over here. I'm going to take out the total sales and put the units in here. Right now it's giving me the sum of unit sales, but what I'd really like to see is averages. So I go into the value field settings and select average of units. And it's telling me what the average count of units for each sale is. I could also change that to a count. That's just telling me how many of these sales there were. You could use that on really any field and probably get roughly the same count. And then there's much more advanced statistical ways of looking at this. If you scroll down through this list of functions that are available, you get down to standard deviation and variance. Standard deviation for the counts might not be useful, but it might be. All kinds of things you can do with the values and the functions that you use to calculate on them in pivot tables.